Hello, dear friend. Perhaps you are very well-intentioned, a very polite person, and you become a moth in some way to help the people around you. But somehow, despite putting in so much effort, do you think that you are not receiving the respect you deserve? Here you are experiencing one of the biggest problems faced by kind and gentle people. Unfortunately, the modern world does not show much respect for kind people, and some behaviors that we do for the sake of others, even if done with great effort, can be interpreted as weakness in the dominant world system. Let me talk to you about some things to be aware of and protect yourself to be a more respected person. Apologizing excessively, even though done in a well-intentioned manner, is the first behavior that can be interpreted as weakness. Maybe you are afraid of hurting others, thinking, "Let no one be harmed because of me, and let me not hurt anyone's feelings." But unfortunately, this situation is not perceived this way from the outside. If you apologize 20-30 times a day, and even carry a sign metaphorically saying, "I apologize for any discomfort I may have caused," this will be perceived as a lack of self-confidence, and people will think that if you don't believe in yourself, why should they trust you? If you excessively apologize for something that is not really a bad thing, if you haven't really harmed anyone, please do not apologize unnecessarily. Every unnecessary apology will take away a piece of your respect and make you seem like a weak person. We face many problems during the day. Many people can ask us questions, and we may need to explain some things in some way. However, the ratio of the words we use here is so important that, let's say, you need to explain something. Someone asks you for an address on the street. If you explain it with a reasonable 3 to 5 sentences, there is no problem. But if you sit down and try to explain a matter with 30-40 sentences, even 50 sentences, people interpret this as weakness, incompetence, or as an amateur in your world. Therefore, it is necessary to use the ideal level that you can explain, especially in terms of work or school. Making too much explanation, talking too much, somehow constantly trying to explain yourself, is interpreted as weakness by others. Why? Because people's mental mechanisms sometimes don't even realize this. If he is making so much explanation, he probably doesn't believe what he says. And if he doesn't believe it, why should I believe him? That's why reducing the unnecessary words we use a bit would be beneficial. I think sacrifice is one of the most beautiful virtues in the world. But if a person is making too much sacrifice for the people around them, even for those who are harming them, if they are still allowing themselves to be used by others, it creates a problem. How do others perceive you if you are sacrificing too much for someone, if you are making sacrifices without distinguishing between good and bad, and if you are still allowing yourself to be used by those who use you? They think you don't have self-respect, and because you don't have self-respect, I won't have confidence in you either. As a result, your sacrifice stones, which you may have put out of somewhere deep inside, even by tearing and suffering, are treated as if they were just ordinary stones. So, it's important to make sacrifices for those who deserve it. If the person in front of you is a malicious person, if the person in front of you is using you, making unnecessary sacrifices will cause that person or those people to continue using you. If someone approaches you with praise, saying something nice, or complimenting you, do you find it difficult to accept the praise? Do you immediately enter into explanations or say something like, "Oh, I just happened to buy it for 15 liras from the market," or "I just got my hair done randomly"? If you never accept praise, people will start to think that you don't really deserve that praise, and unfortunately, the real world doesn't see this as humility. If someone praises you, please accept it. Some people don't want to do something alone, sometimes even in things that can be very easy. They always want someone to be with them. They will go to the hospital or somehow go to the hairdresser, go to the cinema, or apply for a job. They always want someone to be with them. Of course, in some situations, not wanting to be alone is a natural thing, But if you are always dependent on someone else, if you always need someone, if you are always not capable of doing something on your own, after a while, people start to think that you are not mature enough, not mature as a person. When you are praised, you may find it difficult to accept it, and when you find it difficult to be alone, people again start to see you as an immature person. The person, I said, is an individual entity. Sometimes he has to make his own decisions on his own. But if you always get approval from other people in everything you do, even in small decisions, people will again start not to respect you because in their minds, something like this is happening. If Behan can't do anything on his own without asking for approval, he is either not a very intelligent person or somehow not a person who has the power to manage his life. If you don't want to create this, you have to do something on your own. Of course, you may make mistakes sometimes, things may not go as you wish, but that's also a part of life, very natural. You must not be afraid to do something on your own. Occasionally, you can ask for approval, but if this becomes the center of your life, it becomes a problematic situation. So, my dear friend, have you ever experienced behaviors that are misinterpreted or interpreted as weakness by others, despite being very well-intentioned and good-natured in your daily life? Have you somehow experienced these? You can share these with us in the comments. Thank you for listening. Beautiful person. Treat yourself very well. See you soon.